It is not about having abundance of possessions. Jesus is not saying, did not tell the stories to tell you that abundance of possessions is wrong. Jesus told the story saying that life does not consist in the abundance of your possessions.
My Redeemer lives, and I will see His glory as He works all things together for my good. Whatever things occur, of this I can be sure. I know my Redeemer lives. I know my Redeemer lives. My Redeemer. My Redeemer lives, and I will see His glory as He works all things together for my good. Whatever I know my Redeemer lives. I know my Redeemer lives. Even though I walk through the valley, I will fear no evil, for He is with me. And on the battlefield, although the pain is real, my struggle soon will fade as His glory is revealed. My Redeemer lives, and I will see His glory as He works all things together for my good. Whatever things occur, of this I can be sure. I know my Redeemer lives. I know my Redeemer.
I want to establish the fact that Jesus is the Lord of dominion, dignity, and delight. With Jesus coming in, it is not that dominion, dignity, and delight is cancelled now with Jesus coming in, the new covenant coming in. Jesus is the Lord of dominion, dignity, and delight. He came to bring dominion, true dignity, and true delight. And whenever He condemned riches and wealth and so on, and the wealthy, you always see that it was a condemnation not of wealth, but it was the wrong use of wealth in the wrong people's hands, doing the wrong things. That is what He condemned. And there you can see also that He came to establish true dominion, delight, and dignity. He did not like the wrong kind of dominion, dignity, and delight. Some people have material prosperity and use that to dominate others in the wrong way. Jesus condemns that. Whenever He condemns the wrong use of that. And He always promotes and preaches dominion, dignity, and delight. Even in the passage where you think He's condemning the whole idea of prosperity, He is actually promoting the true dignity and dominion and delight, and condemning the wrong kind of dominion, dignity, and delight. So there is a right kind and the wrong kind of dominion, dignity, and delight. So let's go to chapter 12 of Luke. That's the story of the rich fool. You remember the rich fool? Everybody remembers the rich fool, But let's understand it a little more. I refer to it to show you something else, but let's look at it. The story starts with verse 13. Then one from the crowd said to him, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me." And he said to him, "Man, who made me a judge or an arbitrator over you?" So man comes and says, "We have a dispute. Me and my brother have a dispute. Why don't you be an arbitrator and settle this dispute between us?" Tell him to divide the inheritance with me. And Jesus says, who made me an arbiter? That's not my job, he says. And then he said to them, take heed and beware of covetousness. In other words, he's saying, look, I'm not an arbitrator. I'm not the court, I've not come to settle your disputes. But I've come here to teach you why you're having this problem in the first place. Why you and your brother are fighting about the inheritance. What's wrong? Why is he trying to take away your portion also? Why are you having difficulty in getting what is rightfully yours? Because there is covetousness at play. So I'm a preacher and I've come from God, and I want to tell you why the problem is there and how to deal with this problem. And therefore, he deals with covetousness. He says, take heed and beware of covetousness. For one's life does not consist in the abundance of things he possesses. And then starts the parable. Next verse. To prove this point, that they should be beware of covetousness, and that one's life does not consist in the abundance of things he possesses. To prove this and to show how true this is, he tells a parable. The next verse says, then he spoke a parable to them, saying, the ground of a certain man yielded plentifully. And he thought within himself, saying, what shall I do, since I have no room to store my crops? So he said, I will do this. I will pull down my barns and build greater, and there I will store all my crops and my goods. And I will say to my soul, soul, you have many goods laid up for many years. Take your ease, eat and drink and be merry. But God said to him, fool, this night your soul will be required of you. Then whose will those things be which you have provided? So is he who lays up treasure for himself and is not rich toward God. I've explained some things, but there are some other things I want to share about this. First of all, this story starts with verse 13, with these fellows coming, asking Jesus to be an arbitrator, and that launches Jesus into a talk about covetousness. So this whole parable is about covetousness and it is not a narrative against material prosperity. So don't change the narrative. The thing that I tell people that take this story and try to show that, see, Jesus said that the rich man is a fool. So if you're rich, you're a fool. That's oversimplification. That is not what he's saying. You should not use this story like this. This story is not about how rich people are fools. Hello? This story is about covetousness. The issue here is covetousness. The narrative here, the story, is not a story against riches or wealth. It is a story about covetousness and how it works and how it's wrong. First establish that in your mind. So it is a story about covetousness, and there should not be any doubt about that. Now, listen to the story. He says this man's land yielded plentifully. Now, what is wrong with this guy? If a man's land yields plentifully, suppose a man, in modern words, if a man does a business and his business does well, you get good deals and get a great break and find a lot of work and start making a lot of money. Is that wrong? He says, this man's land yielded plentifully. And he thought within himself, saying, what shall I do, since I have no room to store my crops? That's a good problem, isn't it? When you have so much coming in and you don't even have room to keep it, that's a good problem. I wish everybody had that problem. This man is having tremendous success. So he said, I will do this. He's a very clever fellow. He says, I will do this. I will pull down my barns and build greater, and there I will store all my crops and goods. Is that wrong? No. See, some people say, see, that is what is wrong with this. This guy wanted to build a bigger barn to store more, something beyond what he actually needs. One fellow actually told me, see, the whole story is about how you should not have any more than what you need. And you know how many people will say amen, hallelujah for this? The whole story is about how you should not have any more than what you need. Because the problem with this man is he's trying to build a bigger barn. Bigger barn is wrong. Why do you need a bigger barn? You have only stomach this size. You can eat only this much. Why do you need a bigger barn? Anytime you try to have anything more than what you actually need, a little more than what you actually need becomes a sin. It'll lead you to all kinds of wrong things, they say. Because what is the use of having some more? You cannot use it. You can wear only one set of clothes at a time. So if you have just a few sets, it's enough. Why do you want so many? You can live in only one house at a time. You can just use basically 2-3 rooms. Why do you want a bigger place? This kind of logic, They say, so if you want anything more than what you basically and fundamentally need, you are going in the wrong direction. You should not want anything more than you need. Because the things that are not necessary for us, the things that are actually not needed, if you go after those things, that's wrong because they don't in any way enrich you. What does it do to you to have 10 different cars or 10 different houses or something? It doesn't do anything to you. It doesn't enrich you in any way. Well, sounds like their logic is reasonable, but let's think. There are many things that don't enrich us in any way, that are not needed actually, but it is very clear in the Bible that God wants us to enjoy that. God made Adam and put him in the Garden of Eden. And for this one man, and then his wife came, right? For these two people, God made thousands of fruit-bearing trees, 4 rivers. Don't you think 2 andas will be enough for every day? God should be very economical. He should conserve everything. Why did he give him 4 rivers for just 2 people? And that was a land that grew gold. That means gold was growing underneath. Now, why? Why? You mean to say you can't live without gold? If you all didn't have gold, are you going to die? No. Nobody will die because there's no gold. We can live very well without gold. Gold is not a necessity. It is not a commodity of necessity. We can live very well without gold. Then why did God put it there? So that we can take a little bit of it and make a little this thing with it and go buy it and put it and look at the mirror and see how it looks, and show everybody, do you like this or do you like that? And they have a whole shelf full of them and it's beautiful. And I saw a little girl wearing one of those one day. I thought, very beautiful, Just a little kid wearing this earpiece. It looks so beautiful. Thank God for gold. But there are some people who will say, things that are not necessary are not good. We should not have anything we should live with basic necessities and no more. Well, there are many things like gold which are not basic necessities, yet God wants us to enjoy them. Right? Now, even food, I've told this before. Food, one man told me, you eat food just to fill your stomach and strengthen your body so you can work for God. You should not be enjoying food. So you can't say, it's finger licking good or something like that, because that's worldly, that's bad. You should just swallow food. And I asked him, why didn't then God make our tongue like a spoon, just to lap up food? Why did he put all the taste bud in the tongue? Because he wants me to enjoy that. While I'm swallowing it, he wants me to, on the way down into my throat and my stomach, he wants that food to touch my tongue and he wants me to delight in that taste. Oh, our Indian curry, and the wonderful vindaloo and whatever, pepper fry and whatever you call it, They are so good. How good is God, That's why we take our children, we buy them ice cream and they smear it all over their face and we enjoy. We said, wait a minute, let me take a picture before you clean this kid up, Because when he enjoys, that's our enjoyment. He likes it. He loves it. He likes the taste of it. Why didn't God make our tongue to just swallow thing and not taste it? He wants us to taste it because that is an extra delight he wants to give to us. Enjoyment that he wants to give to us. There is nothing wrong. We can live without that enjoyment. I don't have to taste it in order to live. There are many things like this that we do not basically need. So when I was growing up, they said, you need only 2 sets of clothes because what do you need more than that? One is hanging on you, the other is hanging on the clothesline. What do you need more for? What are you going to do with more? Why do you want to buy this? I used to have a battle in those days. Why do you want to buy more? You already have half a dozen shirts. You want one more. You already have 2 pairs of shoes. You want one more. But I know I have 2 pairs of shoes, but I'm looking at this beautiful shoe, and my heart says, get that one also. What can I do? God has made us as creatures who are able to enjoy the good things of God. Think about that. Our nature is like that. God has made it like that. So there is nothing wrong in legitimate enjoyment of the blessings of God in our lives. There is a thing such called good enjoyment of good things in life. So there are people that will criticize that. They'll say, well, you don't need any more than what you need, Well, we don't need a lot of things. Some of you came on motorcycles. You don't need a motorcycle. You could have come by bus. You don't even need a bus. Some of you live within 1 kilometer. You could have come by walk. My grandfather went on a bullock cart as a government official. He was a government officer. Went village by village as a revenue department official on a bullock cart. Officer. So certainly I could have come on a bullock cart this morning down Purasawakam High Road. I don't have to have any other vehicle other than that, or even that I don't need. If you talk about necessities, it becomes ridiculous, So this is not talking about how you should not have anything more than what you basically need. Some talk as if this man built a bigger barn and God came down and called him a fool. You fool, you built a bigger barn. Why do you need a bigger barn? You just need a small one. That's your problem. No, God did not call him a fool because he built a bigger barn. Having a good yield in your crops is not a sin. Doing your work properly, that man must have been diligent in his work. He must have been a smart guy. He must have been a hardworking guy. He probably went to work in time and managed his resources properly and put in so many hours every day. To have that kind of a crop where he does not even have room to hold it. He's a successful guy. He's right about some things. I don't think God will condemn him for that. Then what is the problem with the guy? That he built bigger barns and that bigger barn shows that he's greedy or something? No, he's got bigger barns. What? If he's greedy for building bigger barns, then your retirement fund is a sin. Your provident fund, your gratuity, and all your investments and stocks and bonds and everything that you put planning for your retirement is bad, and God will call you fool also for that. That man is simply making some arrangements for the future years of his life with the good blessings that has come to him, the good yield that has come to him. He's simply planning. Is there anything wrong with that? I say to you, there is nothing wrong with that. You know what is wrong with that guy? The plain truth is, what is wrong with this guy? His whole life philosophy is wrong. How do I know his life's philosophy is wrong? His life philosophy is wrong, and I can know it because you look at verse 15. One's life does not consist in the abundance of things he possesses. You know what this guy's life philosophy was? Somewhere he's learned it. I don't know which church he went to. Or I don't know who his friends are, what kind of a society he grew up in. Somebody had taught him that if you have the possession of wealth, if you have money, enough money and more than enough money, then you don't need anything. That's what life is all about. All you need to have is a heap of money, a ton of money, and then nothing more than that. You don't need anything more than that. That is a wrong philosophy. That's the end of the road. So when the guy built a bigger barn, he thinks, well, it's over. That's why he says, oh, my soul, be glad and rejoice, he says to his soul. You have many goods laid up for many years. Take your ease. Eat and drink and be merry. Why does he say that? Because, well, I've arrived. There's nothing more. What else do you want? All that you need is money. Money, money, money. My name is Jimmy and gimme all that you can. That kind of philosophy, Money, 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 and I got all the money. I don't need anything more money. After you got enough money, you don't need anything else. That's the philosophy. That's the flawed philosophy, wrong philosophy. And that is what Jesus is talking about. A man's life does not consist in the abundance of his possession. If you got all the money for the next 10 generations, if you sit back and say, relax, you got it made. You don't need anything. You don't need anybody. You don't need anything. You don't need a job. You don't need anything. Don't worry about anything. Be happy. I'm certain today God is going to call such a person a fool. Because that's a wrong philosophy. A man's life does not consist in the abundance of things. That does not mean you should not have things. The flaw is in thinking that life consists in the abundance of things. That's the flaw. Having things is not wrong. You need things. You need a house. You need a car. You need money. God is not against things. And I'll prove it to you here. I'll show it to you. The kind of thinking says, all you need is money and nothing more. If you got money, you got it made. That kind of philosophy. His vision, his idea of human life, and the spiritual character that has come out as a result in his life, the way of thinking is wrong. Remember, the story starts with the guy coming, asking Jesus to solve a dispute. Now think, in that family, the father is dead. When a father dies in a home, now listen with me, when a father dies in the home, what do the children do? As soon as the father dies and they go bury him, they don't say, take all the documents out, call the appraiser, let's estimate how much is left. No, they don't start it all immediately, They don't worry about such things immediately. First of all, they think about the good times they spent with the father, how they miss the father now. The father has made the money. The father has built the house. The father has done everything for them, educated them, given them the good life. They think about how much they miss him. Money doesn't seem nearly as important as the father himself. The father is more important than the money. That's the way in any family, any children will think when the father dies. When a death has happened, that's the way they'll think. If you think in any other way, something's wrong, But look at these fellows here. The father dies, and all they're concerned about is money. My share, my percentage. He says, just come and be an arbiter and get me my percentage that is due to me. Now, there's nothing wrong in the guy wanting what belongs to him rightfully. If there are two brothers and two of them must share 50% each, there's nothing wrong in that. And for him to expect what his father has left should come to him, there is nothing wrong. You know what is wrong there? The covetousness is wrong. When do you cross the line? When does this wanting your share of what your father left becomes covetousness? Where do you cross the line? Where does it become covetousness? When do you start coveting it? According to the story, covetousness begins when you think that getting that money is the end of your existence. That's what life is all about. If you got that, that's enough, When you think that, when you think life is, it's all about that. That's all it is. That's the paramount thing in your life. Then that's when covetousness come in. So, the story begins like that. Story begins with a covetous fellow or covetous brothers having difficulties because the covetousness has brought this difficulty into the home. So Jesus, instead of becoming an arbitrator and telling them how much share he should have, he says, let me teach about covetousness. And he tells the story about covetousness. So the whole story is about covetousness. And here we have the story about how a man's lands gave a big yield and the man didn't even have a place to put all his grain and he had to build a bigger barn. And then he says to himself, O my soul, be at ease, eat and drink and be merry. And then only God says, fool, this night your soul will be required of you. Then whose will those things be which you have provided? So what is wrong with this guy? I showed you. What is wrong with this guy is not that he built the bigger barns. What is wrong is that he had the wrong idea of life itself, that life consists of possessions, abundance of possessions. Exactly what Jesus is stating before he even began the parable. That's the whole point of the story. It is not about having abundance of possessions. Jesus is not saying, did not tell the stories to tell you that abundance of possessions is wrong. Jesus told this story saying that life does not consist in the abundance of your possessions.
Let's clap our hands. Everybody clap your hands a little bit. I will come into your presence, Lord, with a sacrifice of praise. With a song I will exalt you, Lord. Blessed be your holy name. I will give you all the glory. You delivered me from shame. I'm created in your righteousness. Blessed be your holy name. Oh, lift him up, his name be lifted high. Lift him up, exalt his holy name. Lift him up, his name be lifted high. Exalt